Thanks everybody for coming early on a game day. Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith and new Chief Executive Officer of Jazz Basketball, Danny Ainge. We'll start with remarks from the two and begin with Ryan.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for being here. I'm excited. You know, it's been, as of Saturday, it's been 1 year since we've taken over the Jazz, and it's been a huge honor to take over such an amazing organization with such great people. And I think we made a few moves off the court in this year that I'm really proud of, and I think this is another one. You know, bringing Dwayne in and everything that he brings to the organization, his championship experience, and just his point of view and perspective into the ownership group has been incredible for me and my partners. I think Andrea Williams, who a lot of you will meet right there, she's a new Chief Experience Officer for the Utah Jazz. It's a new role for the NBA, and will help lead the overall experience for here, but also in the community, and basically representing DE&I and everything that we're trying to accomplish in the community. And next is Danny, right? I've known Danny for a long time. Danny's been in the league for over 40 years. He's been to, I think, 8 NBA finals. He's succeeded as a player and as a coach, as well as an executive for 18 years, and he brings 3 championships to this organization. And this is a real unique role. It's an unprecedented role that hasn't really existed for us in our ownership group, but it also allows Danny to do what he's good at, but also drift and help with some of the other things that we're doing with Smith Entertainment Group and kind of build out our organization. And it's timing's everything, and this has been the right time for sure.
Well, I'm grateful for this opportunity. Ryan and I have known each other for a while, and but had I not had an opportunity just recently to spend a lot of time with Brian Sweeney, Dwayne Wade, Quinn, and Justin, and not felt their enthusiasm and excitement to bring me on board, they sold me to take this opportunity. And I've taken 6 or 7 months off, and I've gotten a good break. I feel like I'm energized and ready to come back and get back to work. And this is a different role. It's a unique role, in the opportunity to work with ownership and work with Quinn and Justin and what they're doing. And I'm anxious to get back and get to work.
All right, well, questions. If you have one in the room, you just raise your hand. Sarah Todd, Edward.
You said it's a unique role. Can you kind of describe the difference between maybe CEO basketball rather than president of basketball operations?
Yeah, I think it's a big unique, and I'm coming in and understanding a lot of the roles, but for Justin, since the summer, has been operating really kind of the day-to-day basketball operations and doing a great job, and that has not changed and will not change in this role. I think Danny can help. And I think Danny's at a point in his career and his life, and I'll let him answer that he just wants to elevate and lift people and make them successful. And that's really, really unique, that you've got someone who just wants to really build others. There's not an ego there. And I've always believed that you're building out an organization for strength, and we're at a very unique time where we can go from strength to strength, and that's the best time to do it. And you get a chance to bring Danny in to help, and I mean, just watching him and Justin riff today, it's exciting, and watching him riff with Quinn or see the players and talk to the players, that's exciting, and that's a unique spot. And then there's a lot of areas that from an ownership standpoint, the alternate governor, have him represent us and help out in the league that is new for him, and I think will help a lot as well.
Ryan Miller, KSL.com.
Danny, how do you see this being different than what you've done before?
Well, I think Ryan pretty much explained it right there. I mean, it's a different role as governor, of course, but I'm not going to be the president in basketball operations. I'm not going to be the guy that's running it day to day. That's going to be Justin. And so I'll have an opportunity to communicate with him and share with him the experiences that I've had. I have a really good feel and understanding of the NBA today and who those players are. and I could be a sounding board for him and for Quinn and for any player eventually. I think this is going to take some time to develop as we develop relationships amongst the organization. But it's not the day-to-day load that I had. I'm in load management right now.
Tony Jones, the athletic.
Danny, at this point in your career, how would you define yourself as it pertains to the role that you're about to step into?
How would I define myself? I would say it in a positive light, very experienced. I've been around the game forever. I've been in professional sports for 44 years, and I've seen a lot of things. And there's a lot that I can help and offer younger people and people that have less experience.
Eric Walden, Celtics Tribune.
Just, you mentioned that you're not going to be involved in the day-to-day, that you can be a resource for Justin. Just wondering kind of how if there's a traditional hierarchy structure in place, like if there's a disagreement, who has final say on kind of basketball decisions?
I'll let Ryan answer that question.
Yeah. I think decisions, I mean, if you're in the league, I mean, everyone knows to call Justin right now, right? I think that's pretty clear. I think when it comes to decision making, like we're creating a culture that it doesn't really work that way. If a decision gets so tough that we don't have, unanimous or at least the majority decision, and it comes to me, I don't anticipate a lot of that. I truly believe that we hire people that we trust, and we wrestle some of these decisions down because I'm gonna lean on those folks, and that's the kind of culture you want to create, and that's what I've done throughout my whole career. And when it comes to that, you want to be right a lot more than you're wrong because some decisions aren't clear, and bringing Danny on board helps increase our chances of getting that right. And so that's how we build it. And Justin's incredibly collaborative, Quinn's incredibly collaborative, and Danny's incredibly collaborative. It's really not about whether I'm right or Danny's right or Justin's right. It's about us getting it right. And that's what we hope to build as an ownership group, and you can see that from the moves we're making where we're thinking out over the next 5-10 years, and how do we do something that we haven't done here?
I want to make it clear that, when I say I'm not doing the day-to-day operation, that doesn't mean I'm not working every day. It just means that someone else is in charge of the day-to-day, answering the phone calls and dealing with the people around the league, and that is Justin in his role, and he's doing a great job of that.
Kevin Anderson, Baseball Sports.
So how familiar are you with the team and with Quinn and, just kind of the day-to-day stuff that you will have to...
I mean, I've watched him a lot. I've watched every game this year, and a lot of their games last year. I think that the relationships will grow for sure. I can't say that I know the personalities as well as I'd like, but that'll be my first order of business, is try to develop the trust and relationships within the organization.
And how do you get better as an executive from, your first year with Boston to year 18? Like, what do you do better? How does it grow?
I think patience. You learn patience, and you learn that, the bad days that we're coming into the bad days, and not to get too excited on the good days. I think just an even keel and go about, try to find the real reasons for your success and failings as opposed to the emotional reactions to it. And I think that I offer that.
Andy Larson, Celtics Tribune.
You said leaving Boston that you weren't interested in a lead executive job in your next spot, and obviously CEO is probably that, but kind of curious how that's changed over the last few months, and then kind of how this unfolded from your point of view in order to join the Jazz today.
Yeah, I needed a break from Boston. And by the way, my 26 years in Boston were an amazing experience. I'll always be grateful. One of the greatest things I've learned in this business is the relationships you build. I mean, the championship rings are our goals, and that's what you really build a bond when you're trying to work for a championship. But the things that I really cherish over those 26 years are the relationships that I've developed, and those will always be there. I'm really looking forward to building new relationships here with this organization. I'm very excited about that. like I said, though, the role is different than I was in Boston. They literally were 16 and 18-hour days, and I don't plan on doing that. I plan on working every day and working with Justin and Quinn and Ryan and his ownership group.
How did this unfold, kind of from your point of view? What was kind of the timeline of this?
I got the sense that Ryan wanted me to come on board at some point later summer, but we really didn't talk much about it. I think he knew that I was not in the mindset of doing that. I needed time away. And I think just this last week or two, we've really been hammering away and trying to get a deal. And I'm excited about it now. I probably wouldn't have been excited about it months ago, but now I'm anxious to get back at it. And just being around the team today, my juices are flowing. I'm ready to go.
Sarah Todd?
Ryan, I think, and you say that it's clear throughout the league who the guy is to call, but I think respectfully, like today, the news that Danny is joining didn't make that very clear. And so I'm just wondering, like, when there are trade discussions or when deals are being made, like, is that going to be a collaborative effort, Danny, Justin, the team, or is there a hierarchy?
Yeah, so I think those are two separate questions. One's internal and one's external. Externally in the league, it's pretty clear. Like, call Justin, right? That doesn't mean Danny doesn't have prior relationships, but that's how it's going to go. And then how we make our decisions internally will kind of be how we make our decisions internally on what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and no different than any other team. I don't understand fully the decision process of every organization that's out there, but I normally would put the best people around the table to make the right decisions, and that's what we're doing here.
Ryan, no?
Danny, what's kind of the challenge of coming in mid-season to a new team?
Getting to know the team. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to be a distraction. They got things going on. They have other people they're talking to. So, as opposed to coming in the off season, where you in the summertime there's not as much stress on the players, and you don't have to tippy-toe around. But it'll be a little bit more challenging this way.
David Locke, Jazz Broadcast?
Danny, in almost any article that's written about you in a feature article, the word competitiveness comes in. I think usually with the most competitive person I've ever met, usually is the phrase. Would you agree with that self-characterization?
I would.
I think I'm competitive, but I think my wife is more competitive. So, I think that's a little bit overblown personally, but I love competition. But everybody in this business does. It's a very competitive league. So I don't know where I stack up and rated to everybody else, but I feel like I'm competitive. Yeah.
Andy Larson?
You entered the team at a good time. It's the kind of trade deadline market. I'm just kind of curious what you see as the roster's strengths and weaknesses and kind of what you're getting into at this point.
The rosters are strong. Yeah. Definitely tipping on the strong side. No, it's a really good team. Very well coached. So, I'm not sure what needs to be done, but we'll look with Justin's help and his staff and Quinn and try to figure out a way to make our team better, but the team is pretty dang good.
Tony?
Considering that, kind of piggybacking off.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Tony Jones from the
Tony.
Athletic.
Okay.
Just kind of piggybacking off of what Andy asked, for you and Justin and, for the front office group, how important is that these next few months leading up to the deadline, specifically asking because you guys feel that you have a championship window this year?
Yeah, I think it's always important to be able to evaluate all the deals that are available to you. I think there's a misconception out there that people think that you can go get a player or go get something to make your team better, but oftentimes you can't. Oftentimes the only deals that are available to you are the deals that don't make you better. You have to give up something to get something in return, and so we understand the window of opportunity in this organization, and we'll collectively collaborate on whatever deals that are available to us.
Okay, last one in the room, Eric Walden.
Danny, just wondering, given your time in the league and Justin's time in the league, whether as an agent or working in different organizations, kind of what your previous relationship you had with him, kind of what the conversation was between the two of you thus far in terms of how best to make this work.
I don't know. I feel like Justin and I are excited to work with one another. My prior relationship to Justin is we've talked on the phone a few times. Most of my conversations with the organization were with Dennis. But lately, Justin has been the guy in charge, and I'm excited to work with Justin. And he has a good reputation around the league, and I think that we have a chance to do something special.
Okay, we're gonna switch over to Zoom, and Madeline will introduce questions. If you guys can just answer questions looking at the camera, since you're gonna see the screen right here.
All right, we will have a question first from Mark Murphy, Boston Herald. Mark, go ahead.
Hi, Danny.
Murph, how'd you get the first question?
I'm wondering, when you stepped down from the Celtics, did you have an idea of how long you were going to be away? And during the summer, just when did you start to feel an itch again?
I didn't have an idea, but I mean, there was a possibility that I would step away forever. My wife and I had discussed that many times, and I have looked at other opportunities outside of basketball. And one thing that intrigues me about this opportunity is, like Ryan said, with SEG, there are things other than just basketball that excite me as well. So I didn't know, Mark. I didn't know the answer to that.
But when did you start to feel the itch again? You know, was it out on the course? Where do you think it was?
I think, just within the last couple of weeks, like I said, I watch NBA games all the time, and, sitting in my fireplace by myself watching games isn't as exciting as being in an office and watching games collectively with a group of people. It's more fun. I love the interaction with the staff and with other people. So I think my wife knew that I was probably starting to get the bug a couple weeks ago.
All right, we'll go ahead and go to Jared Weiss, The Athletic.
Danny, you just mentioned looking at opportunities kind of outside of the basketball operations phase. So was that something that was important when you were looking for another opportunity? And you also mentioned that you needed a break from Boston. So I was wondering how much was you just wanting to get a fresh start somewhere else in a capacity like this?
No, that wasn't it at all. Like I said, I love my time in Boston, and I love the people I worked with. I was working with my son. That was a blast, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Maybe it was. I really appreciated that, and ownership was great. And my staff was great. That had nothing to do with it. It's been as a lot of people through the pandemic. The NBA has seemed like it's gone 2 years in 1 year, and it's been a heavy load. And I just felt like I needed to get away.
All right, we have one last question on Zoom, and that will be from Bobby Manning of the Boston Sports Journal.
Hi, Danny. Bobby Manning, CONS Media and Boston Sports Journal. I'm curious, with this new role you're taking on, whether this would have been possible in Boston, with something where maybe you took a backseat to Brad stepping into that GM role. Were there any discussions like that to kind of have a role in Boston, possibly like this one, where you did take a step back, and why wasn't that possible in the end?
I think that's a good question. That's been asked before, but I just needed a break. And right now Boston has moved on. They have three capable people, and Brad Stevens and Austin Ainge and Mike Zarin that could run the organizations by themselves. Very capable people that have got great experience in the business. So I just felt that the organization was in great hands moving forward.
Are we going to get Boston journalists on every single Zoom call? I kind of like it.
That's the one with Danny.
I think that's all the time we have. Thank you guys.
All right, thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you guys. Thanks for being here.